Hello, everyone. Ex-Bethelite here. I just found out about the family that lost their lives yesterday. There was a family of four, and it seems like it was a murder-suicide. I don't know very much about it. This supposedly happened the past Sunday, and then I just found out about it yesterday. When I found out about it, at first it was shock. It's like you hear it, but you don't really fully believe it yet. And then it led to me not really being able to sleep very well last night. And then I woke up this morning digging for more information. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine told me about it last night, and she forwarded me a video that Mike and Kim did. Keep in mind, I'm still upset about it. And I watched Mike and Kim's video. And then at the end of their video, they show a woman in a Kingdom Hall, I assume is the Kingdom Hall that family was from, or a Kingdom Hall where people knew that family. For people that are not Jehovah's Witnesses, Kingdom Hall is Jehovah's Witness Church. And this woman stands up in front of the congregation and she uses her freedom of speech and says, there is a family of four that is dead because of your extreme policies, because you shun them. She explains what happened. People get up and they come towards her and surround her. Now, these men are taller than she is. So she then stands up on a chair and repeats herself that there's a family, an entire family dead because you all shun them. And there was no emotion. Here I am upset. I haven't met the family. I haven't seen a picture of them. And here I am upset, and I'm looking at people who are supposed to be Christian. We all know that they're just cult members. They're not Christian. People that are supposed to be Christian, and they are not shedding a tear. There's no gasps of people in shock. There's no one going up to hug this woman. Woman obviously upset because an entire family's dead. Does anyone hug her? No. I guarantee you, if you listen to that video, there's someone saying, we're going to call the police. Is that what Christians do when someone is grieving the loss of an entire family? Their watchtower or whatever it was they wanted to talk about could have waited for a little while. Someone could have given that woman a hug. Someone could have walked up and held her hand. Not one person in that video. They walk up and surround her and tell her they're going to call the cops, but not one person shows a bit of human concern. This shook me up just because I'm human. I mean, that's a whole family. They don't even show human concern, much less Christian concern. After they escort her out, the video continues to play, and someone else is holding the camera. She's not holding the camera. So as she's leaving, the camera is still somewhere in the main auditorium type area. And you see people, talking and what have you, but I still don't see anyone upset. Someone apologizes because there was a outburst, even though anyone with any kind of common sense would have completely understood an outburst after losing an entire family of four people. But other than apologizing for the outburst, maybe they thought that was somebody they could convert to be a Jehovah's Witness, and that was the only thing they were concerned about, was converting more people. They weren't concerned for the woman grieving and upset, obviously upset, over the loss of those four people. And this has been going on for a long time. Jehovah's Witnesses, people have committed suicide, people have harmed themselves and others because of these extreme policies, shunning, telling people they can't even speak to their family when they're going through situations where they're already stressed. And then Watchtower, on top of everything else, causes more duress on that person and their psyche. So while a person is trying to fix a situation that they went to the so-called elders for, they turn on them, causing duress, oftentimes causing the person to end up in worse shape than they were when they went to that specific group of elders for what they thought was help and love, and what ended up being an abuse of power and extreme inhumane policy. So when a person is disfellowshipped, elders are supposed to be keeping up with them. They're supposed to be checking up on them. Okay, because the whole shunning concept is that their friends can't talk to them, their family can't talk to them. I repeat again, their family can't talk to them, so somebody is supposed to be keeping up with them. Elders are supposed to be doing that. For the longest time, former witnesses have always stated that this is a lie. They're not checking up on people. They're literally just cutting people off, and then leaving them in the cold, so to speak. So you can't tell me that this family, the woman that was involved with this and the family, went from things being relatively okay to all of a sudden suicide murder. That doesn't happen. There was a process. There was a process where she probably reached out for help. People in that family probably reached out for help. Their relatives probably ignored them. Their friends probably ignored them. You have to understand that for Jehovah's Witnesses, when they disfellowship someone, they're telling that person that God is going to kill them. End of the world is around the corner. The end of the world could happen tomorrow. And if you are disfellowshipped when that happens, you're going to die. So not only are they telling people they're going to die when they disfellowship them, but they're also telling that person, you can't talk to any of your friends or family, causing not just duress because of essentially a death threat, but duress because of isolation, on top of telling them God's angry with them and he's going to kill them. These things need to be brought to light. Society, the authorities, people need to step in, because there's a difference between religious freedom and stupidity and abuse of power. What we see is a combination of stupidity, a group of men with no qualifications. They're too dumb to run a congregation. It's just that simple. They are too dumb to run a congregation. And you mix that with abuse of power. Somebody who scrubs toilets for a living, all of a sudden being given a title, and now they want to, show that they're important by getting up on a stage and announcing that everybody's disfellowshipped and everything else. Like it's getting to the point where it's time for the authorities to step in and do something about Watchtower and their extreme policies that result in the loss of life. You have the blood policy, where they're telling people not to accept certain medical treatments, even if they are in dire need of those treatments, and that ends up in loss of life. You have the shunning, where they're not just telling people don't talk to them, they're telling them that they're going to die and don't talk to them. That is duress. If I were to verbally say something to someone that caused duress, that was a death threat mixed with extreme duress, I know I could be arrested. So why is it that society thinks a religion is free to do anything it wants to people? And it's all under religious freedom. Give them a death threat, that's fine. Tell them that they're going to die in Armageddon, that's fine. That's religious freedom. Tell them that their family can't speak to them, their friends can't speak to them, and if anybody speaks to them, they're all going to die. That's okay. That's religious freedom. At some point, we're getting into just pure stupidity, where we see, as a society, we see things that are wrong and we do nothing about it. I liken the former witnesses that speak out, that are activists, to other people who are activists and also speak out and also have a voice. Unfortunately, the nation just lost 17 young people to a mass school shooting. And the victims of that are speaking out. As a matter of fact, I like how the community is coming together. They are advocating for change. They're speaking out. They're letting everybody know what's going on. And they're telling them people are losing their lives. There's danger. Let's do common sense things to try to stop this from happening. From what I have seen, that's what a lot of the survivors and their parents are saying. This young man, the shooter, had people in that school basically stating a school shooting is something that he would do. Somehow he's giving off that vibe. On top of that, you had a teacher, from my understanding, report something to that effect about that young man. On top of that, you have him taking pictures with guns and knives. You have a post about being a professional school shooter that I believe they tied to that post to him. And you look into what they described as his life, and he's lost relatives, mother, father. You see what obviously points to a situation where we may want to give this young man some attention. Other than expelling him out of sight, out of mind, from my understanding, I don't know that anyone did anything. And you end up with 17 people dead. You have a young man that everyone is saying he probably would do a school shooting, and that's the person with an assault rifle, an AR-13 or something like that. That's who had the assault rifle. What I'm saying is, as a society, when we see obvious issues, we should act on them before people get hurt. It shouldn't be one of those things where it's just not my job. It's a troubled kid, got it, guns, and he's acting out, and not my problem. It becomes your problem now when he does a school shooting. Let's not wait for it to get that far. So, with Jehovah's Witnesses, we have been speaking out about doing common sense things. The people involved with that, the survivors, are saying, if a person is not old enough to drink, should he have an assault rifle? They're saying basic common sense things. As a society, the authorities step in, people who we trust in political positions should do something. The same with Jehovah's Witnesses. Is it common sense that people should be allowed to worship the way they want. However, religious organizations, their power should be limited. They shouldn't be allowed to tell people they can't talk to their family. They shouldn't be allowed to directly tell people that they're going to die. They shouldn't be allowed to put people under extreme emotional and mental duress to the point that they kill their family and then turn the gun on themselves. Let's just do common sense things as a society. Don't look at it as, well, these are Jehovah's Witnesses, small group of people, so who cares? As a society, what affects one person should affect all of us. So I think that all of the advocates, the activists, all of our voices should come together, and people should do something about these things. What would have prevented, from my understanding it was the woman that shot everyone in the family and then herself, what would have prevented her? It's just a simple mind state that she was in that caused her to do what she did, but a slight alteration of that mind state, there would have been nothing to prevent her from turning the gun on a Kingdom Hall and shooting everyone in there that shunned her and her family, and then shooting her family and herself. Nothing would have prevented that. It's time for us to do something so that nothing like that happens. It's bad enough what already happened. What would have prevented her or anyone that has committed suicide, that was under enough extreme mental duress to turn a gun on themselves or to kill themselves or in their own family? What would have prevented people that Watchtower has done that to from turning on Watchtower? An assembly, a facility with thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses all together in a small group. What would prevent someone from getting an AR and turning on and killing who knows how many JWs inside of an assembly hall? There's no way people are getting out if bullets are flying. I don't see what would prevent it. I think we are treading on a very thin line where people ignore it because they're killing themselves and their family. Watchtower is ignoring it. Playing with fire. They are treading a very thin line. I don't personally see what would prevent someone who is already prepared to die from the country having another mass shooting at an assembly. I have no clue what would prevent that. There's nothing that would prevent it. The only thing that would prevent it from my perspective is us as a society stepping up and doing something and saying, okay, Watchtower, do your thing, knock on people's doors, but this shunning has to stop. You can't put people under extreme duress. You can't do that because as a result, they have killed themselves, they've harmed themselves, and they've harmed others. If I directly cause someone to harm themselves to the point of killing themselves, I know I can be prosecuted to some degree. So why Watchtower gets away with it, I don't know. But there's an entire family of 4 dead, and it upset me to the point where I've done a video before and I got upset in the middle of it, and I just went ahead and stopped it. Sat down, went for a walk, and started again later. Because the elders should have been on top of that. If she was under that type of duress, they should have been checking on her. They should have been calling her. And if she was under that type of duress, they should have never disfellowshipped her to begin with. Let people move on. Let people live their lives. Leave people alone. So, my condolences to the family. My condolences to the friends of that family. My condolences to everyone that knows that family. And I tell you what, I want to see a quote unquote governing body member, people that just give themselves titles. I want to see them on a broadcast. I want to see an article. I want to see a statement made about what happened. 4 people lost their lives. And this is why in my videos, I keep saying 2018, it's time to forget about all this nice, soft talk and be straight with it, because people are losing their lives. And Watchtower doesn't care. I want to see Watchtower do an article on what happened. I want to see a governing body member on a broadcast step up and give their condolences to the family and show concern. So I will be waiting for that video. If anyone else sees it, the article or what have you, let me know about it, because I want to hear one of the 7 or 8 or however many dinglings that call themselves governing body members. I want to hear condolences. I want to hear a moment of silence. I want to hear show some act of sorrow for what happened. Because if I don't hear any act of sorrow for what happened, then if I start talking about governing body members, that people that call themselves governing body members, and I'm straightforward and forthright with what I'm saying, I don't want to hear anyone saying, you should feel bad to say something like that. Do they feel bad when they cause loss of life, or when they cause people to harm themselves, or when they destroy families, or when they cause people not to get whatever medical treatment that they have? You have people in other countries, they're not getting persecuted. There's people in other countries getting hurt because Watchtower's policies cause them to break the law. So you got people getting hurt in other countries, and this is just getting out of hand. So again, when you hear me in my videos and I talk about Jehovah's Witnesses and their lack of intellect, and people think, oh, well, you shouldn't say that, it's not nice, I don't see any concern from the governing body about just human decency. I don't see any human decency with them. So I'm not about being angry or anything like that. I'm about being straightforward and truthful. If Jehovah's Witnesses and most of the issues with their teachings is simply intellect and people not being smart enough to read a whole chapter of a scripture, then that's what I'm going to tell you. There's an issue with intellect in that organization. And I'm sure people not being able to go to college has something to do with it. But in summary, there was a loss of an entire family. My condolences to everyone. And I'd like to thank Mike and Kim for doing the video because that was the most information I was able to get on what happened. And those so-called elders were supposed to check on them, and they did not. They could not have for any of all this to happen. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite signing out, 937-789-4029.